Fantastic.
Awesome. Hey, all right.
It always feels like such a victory to get to this place, you know? It's like we're all
It is a bit.
connected. We're all
Yes.
here. Yeah. And I
Yes.
see Claudia's joined and Florence, Kathy, Poetic Cinema, Duncan the Sage. Thanks everyone for joining.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I've been really excited about this, guys. Like, I've been looking forward to it. I have 5 pages of notes, so, you know, I'm sure we will not fill an hour. But hi, Florence.
I love
Oh
it.
my goodness. Yeah. So
Hi,
we
Florence.
we had come up with the title of "Who Were You Before the World Told You What to Be," as we're walking through the artist's way. So I'm definitely looking forward to talking about that. Why don't we do a quick round of intros and then we'll head on in. So, Margaret, why don't you go first?
Margaret Williams, the author of the Empowered Leader publication, where I help marginalized women increase their visibility, impact, and influence. Thank you. I'm very honored to be here with you guys again.
I love that you are.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chantel, and my Substack is Chantel Yvonne, also Always Be Reading. And what I like to do is help people live connected and examine lives through books and through reading. And I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, and I'm Haide Giesbrecht, and my Substack is Encouragement Along the Journey, and I like encouraging people. So I recently came up with a one sentence to describe my Substack, and this is it. Courageous, compassionate stories of grief, relationship, neurodiversity, becoming, and belonging. And so I share a lot of my personal story. I share what I'm observing in my counseling practice. And yeah, it's just kind of, it's my therapy, and sometimes other people find it therapeutic too. So I guess that's a win, right?
It is
Awesome.
a win. I
Yes.
love that. When did you come up with that sentence?
Oh, in the
recent?
last couple of weeks. Yeah. I've actually been doing a lot of like trying to figure out how to just describe myself, because, you know, people will ask and I'm always like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And
great.
reading Margaret's writing, I know that that is not the right answer. So
It's all good.
She's still giving you claps. Margaret,
yeah.
I'll give you claps. Yes, I love it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We got to give her flowers, okay?
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Well,
That's right.
I was talking to someone yesterday and they were asking about this afternoon live. And I said, well, we're working through the artist's way. And I said to her, like, this is my 3rd time. Like, the first time I made it through the intro, and the second time I got to page 86. And I need you to celebrate with me because I am currently on page 119. This is further than I've ever gotten. I know. And
That's
honestly,
excellent.
it's because of the two of you. Like, because we're doing it together, it's like motivation to keep doing it. And so I really, really appreciate that we're doing this together. And I love that, like, we are not necessarily at the same place in the book, but we're just working at our own pace. So yeah. What's it been
And
like for both of you?
Well, what I loved about it is that you hit me up on the DMs and say, remember, we're meeting on Saturday. So it's like accountability. And that's the good thing about working together as a team.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We can inspire and motivate each other to greatness. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. I think that one of the things that this has helped me to realize that I no longer need to be convinced about is anything that I want to do, like the importance of building community around it. And it can look like a lot of different things, because I think that we have kind of like, you know, maybe a fixed vision or version or definition of what that looks like. So for example, everyone moving on the same page at the same time. And what's been so beautiful about, you know, how we are, the invitation is open. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have it all figured out. And there is allowance for you to move at your own pace but you still have the support and connectedness that I really have benefited from. Like knowing, hey, out there, you guys are on the same journey too. So it's been lovely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, because as we know, life, there's many webs and flows, okay? And so we could be in any place in that given time, and knowing that I can reach out to you all for some support,
Yeah.
that means everything.
Yeah. Well, and I find
Yeah.
too, like the flexibility that we've had around this has been exactly what I needed. And it's not like this is a new thought, but I feel like it's kind of hit me differently this time around, because I've noticed how much easier it is to work through the book when I don't have this weight of pressure. Oh my goodness, I have to finish this chapter by Saturday. Oh no, I had a really chaotic week and I didn't get it done. Without having that pressure, I get to actually just really enjoy it. And so, yeah, like when I said I have 5 pages of notes, I'm not even kidding. Actually, I think, no, it is only 5 pages. I was gonna say maybe it's 6, but it's been really, it's been really fun to kind of, because we're doing these check-ins like not every week, I actually find it super helpful, because what it forces me to do is I go back to the last time we checked in and I flip through all my writing and kind of pull out the different pieces of it that I think, yeah, maybe I might want to talk about this today. And so it's being like a really helpful, going back and reviewing process as well. Yeah, I'm curious, like, are there any things that you have noticed or observed or been curious about? Yeah, maybe like think of something that you would like to share and let's see where it takes us.
Well,
I
recently,
think for me,
I'm sorry.
I think you can go. You go. You go.
Thank you, because my memory will be gone. Okay. so so what happened for me is this is like I have piece here, piece there, piece there. It's like putting all these broken pieces together and seeing, it's like quilt work, and see what I can create from that. This week I have really been down in my uh I wouldn't say my spirit, but my I've been feeling unable to create. Okay, what you
Mm,
call like a block, writer's block. Okay, so fortunately I've been putting out my old material out, which
mm,
I've been I like when I started listening to it. I'm like, wow, okay, because at the time I had put it together. I'm like, okay,
yeah.
but then things are starting to blend together, and then starting the artist way again, and getting through the introduction. It just like putting all these things together and seeing
Mm,
how I can continue to blend it, because we are already blending these things. We're
yeah.
looking at the social economics, the financial, the political. We're looking at all these things and see what the impacts and the gaps and all of these things. So we're able to put these things in perspective, okay, when we add this spirituality component, which is prevalent in our lives, and we just not
Mm,
realizing it because we're just going through the motion.
mm, yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, that's really great. That's really great. Um, for me, I think one of the things that has been most surprising,
Mm,
and I anticipated painful, but not actually, I experienced freedom, like weight lifted,
mm,
is on page 81. For anyone who might have their book with them, at the top of, so I'm past week 4, but like you were saying, Heidi, I go back. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And so I went back and just was reviewing my notes. And this is the work that I've been doing, even though it was past week 4. It was the process of identifying a self inevitably
Mm,
involves loss as well as pain. We discover our boundaries, and those boundaries, by definition, separate us from our fellows. And I would say that there have been some relationships in my life where the boundaries where um, that needed to be, I needed to sit with and to evaluate, you know,
Yeah.
and I needed to look at again, and that definitely was having negative impact on myself, like how I viewed myself, or a
Mm.
narrative that I was carrying with myself, and I and so and there were not the proper boundaries um, that were established. And so part of what has been happening for me is being able to look at that from a place of compassion.
Mm.
And I've seen it before, but I didn't have that compassion. Being able to really look at it, to excavate, to ask questions, to sit in honesty, and to say, what is it that I want now, from this relationship, and what can I be, to this person, and doing it from a place of, not from a place of anger, but from a different place of agency.
Mm. Mhm.
Um, and that's been really surprising and so good,
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah. Like the intentionality around how do I show up in this relationship in a way that feels like I can, rather than, yeah.
Yeah, because I think what happens, especially when you have, and this is a dear friend who's still a dear
Mm.
friend, but I think we've been friends for, we met when we were 17, 18, and we've been on a life journey, but we are different women.
Mm.
And I think that part of what was harming our relationship actually was this expectation of
Mm.
not being able to totally see the women that this is who I am. I'm becoming someone that's
Right.
different from how I met, but yet our
Yeah.
expectations and desires of those former people. And I
Yeah.
think that, like, it relates to what we're going to get into now, because, or tonight, between childhood and adulthood, like this part of myself,
Yeah.
this other part of myself, and sometimes the unresolved tension and conflict, or the unmet or unrealistic expectation that kind of crowds out the new things that are
Mhm.
supposed to
Mhm.
grow and develop. And
Mhm.
so there was always a sense of disappointment,
Mm.
and yeah, like things of disappointment, like we were disappointing each other, but that's
Yeah.
because of what we were holding on to,
Yeah.
versus relating now and not having established boundaries on either side. So it
Yeah.
wasn't about care and love, it was about space for our becoming, maybe, if that makes
Yes.
sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just, as you were talking about that, I thought, oh man, like that is so relevant in so many relationships, right? Like the longevity of a relationship really requires that we allow space for who the other person is becoming. Um, and I
Yeah.
remember reading this, it was like a little story or whatever. And it was this man who had been married to his wife for, I think they had been married for like close to 70 years. And someone said, wow, like, how did you stay together for so many years? And he said, oh, well, I've been married to 6 different women, but it was all his wife. And he identified that she's been different women throughout the time I've been with her. And I've had to learn how to make space for that and love her even as she's changing and growing. And so I think there's just such wisdom to that, Chantel. Yeah.
I
I love
love
that.
that
I love that.
because our identity changes
Yeah.
throughout our lives.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
For sure.
it's, I've been like, as we've been working through this and kind of thinking about the, like, who were you before the world told you what to be? I've been like trying to process that part of it. Like which part of it is this underlying thread of me that weaves through all the different stories? and then which part of it is growing and changing, because it does feel like it's a bit of both, doesn't it? Like there's the
Yes.
part that is like the core, that as you look back you're like, oh, I can see this here, and I can see this here, and I can see this here. It was just how it displayed itself might have looked different in those different seasons. And so yeah, that was kind of the, sitting with that, like I wrote down the question, like when did I become who the world needed me to be? Because it does feel like at some point I lost some of the connection, and I keep, like, honestly, for me it keeps feeling like my 7-year-old self. And so yesterday we had a Sacred Wave Wellness. So Courtney of Sacred Wave Wellness and I did a live, and she led us through a visualization exercise. And it was such a great exercise. And it was interesting because she had at the end brought us to this place where you were seeing your future self. Well, my brain missed the future. And so when she said, you're seeing yourself, I saw my 7-year-old self. And then later when she said something about future self, I was like, oh, and suddenly there was like this space where there was my 7-year-old self, and there was like my older self, and this sense of like embrace of like all the different parts of me. And yeah, it was just this really interesting moment where I was like, okay, yeah, there is this theme that has pulled through so many different parts of my life. So, but it feels like for a little while I was really caught in the things that were expected of me and that I had to do. And often I think that, I mean, some of it was, expectations of school and work and finance and whatnot, but some of it was expectation from people. And what people expected of me. Yeah, so those are kind of some of the thoughts that I've been processing over the last while.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because when we talk about it, the artist's way, it's basically you going back like to your childhood,
Yeah.
and it's like your inner artist as a child. I think that's when I was most creative, because I had no inhibitions,
Yeah.
didn't know nothing. So I would be able to be creative and create in ways I can't even do today.
Yeah.
So the artist's way is allowing you to recapture that part of you
Yeah.
that was lost.
Yes. Well, and it was interesting because I think in the first chapter, she had us do like the write out 5 imaginary lives. And Chantal, you were so inspiring with that. Oh my gosh, that was that was so fantastic. Mine were very, straightforward, but they were like, things that I was interested in. And then in I think chapter 6, she has you do it again. And then she has you go back and look at the chapter 1 stuff and compare, like, have any of them changed or any of them the same? And that was really, really interesting. Had you done that part already, Chantal?
Yeah. I have.
Did yours change?
It was interesting. So one of them changed, but I still am drawn to it. But one of them did change. But for me, what I found interesting was what shifted in me the first time I wrote it. Those were all impossible things. The second time I'm looking at it, they're pretty much the same, but I'm like, do they have to be impossible? Like they do they have to just sit in the imaginary? I'm playing with it more. It's coming closer to out of the imaginary, and like, well, like, how could this be possible? In some way. Now, the one that definitely changed, and then there's a one, and then I think about like, I was thinking about the word like career, I think, or like we had imaginary lives. That's what it was, imaginary lives. I interpret it, what I found interesting is my definition of imaginary life. My definition of imaginary life, I think that's how she acted, it was about career, which is a different, and I don't know why I experienced the question that way first. I wrote down like, and I'm trying to make sure, like, did I experience it correctly? Like, was that career? But I experienced it as career. I'm trying to find it.
Yeah.
And so when I did it the second time, I did not experience as, yeah, it was number 8, imaginary life.
Yeah.
I don't know why I experienced imaginary life as a career.
Yeah.
And I realized that the career limited me. It made it impossible because the career is like, it's a job, right?
Yeah.
And there's only, like, it's a job, and the job, it has a function in my life. But the imaginary life, when I looked at it again in chapter 6, there was more expansive. And I was like, oh, it's not asking you your career. It's like, what would your life? Which then leads, which it just made it feel more expansive, more possible.
Yeah.
And I pursued it differently. And so we'll talk about artist date, I'm sure. Because Haide, I definitely want to hear about your artist date. But I will tell you, I'll come back.
It's a big one.
Share how that from it's a career to your life, how it had me experience my artist date that I just had differently.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely curious, because as you're saying that, I'm thinking, yeah, I don't know if I specifically thought career, but like when I look down, it's all things that I'm doing. Like, like one of them was voice actor. So that was actually one of the ones that had changed, and it connected back to something that happened earlier in my life. And I'm like, I've always wanted to do like voice acting. And I won a contest once where back in the days when phone banking was a thing, I worked at a credit union, and they put a contest out to employees and credit union members. And I entered and I won. But my boss didn't let me take the day to go record. And so they actually had someone else record it. But it's like this little claim to fame, like one day I won a voice acting contest. So, but yeah, they were all like things rather than, when I think about your more expansive, I'm like, well, I'd love to be a traveler. I'd love to maybe be a nomad for a little while, right? Like a digital nomad. I'm seeing it all over the place. It looks fascinating. But I didn't have those things down. So like you, I think I was limiting myself without even recognizing it. So thank you. Yeah. So do you want to tell us about your artist date?
So I just got back from my artist date, actually. I went to go see at Arena Stage, which is a nice theater here, big theater here, a musical about a girl group that I grew up with called TLC. And and the name of the musical is Sexy Cool. And so I went by it's an artist date. So I went by myself. And I'm sitting there, and one of my, like dreams or my lives is to be like director, producer, and to do that. So I was like, Chantel, you're gonna sit in this theater, and you're gonna sit in the mind frame of, you're not just an audience member. You are going to see, you're a producer, and you're gonna see, would you produce the show and take it to Broadway? And so I had this little
love it,
game that I was playing with myself. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. I talked about it to my husband the whole way home. It's like, the things, and it was fun, being critical about the art, which is something that I don't get to do as much, because when I go with other people really just want to be like, oh, it was great, and it is great, but I kind of want to get in on the innards of stuff. And so but yeah, it was a good experience, and it was good to play with playing with that imaginary life. And then I thought, why don't I write up my thoughts, and maybe I can just send it to the like send it to the artistic director, send it to the director, like to share it. And I would not have thought to even do that, like had I like gone on the artist page and let me play with the imagination. So that's something that I'm gonna do.
I love it. Your artist dates are always so creative, Chantel. Like I love hearing about them. Oh man.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. Well, my artist dates have been a little different than yours, because some of the, like I often do have time where I'm doing things by myself for the purpose of just removing myself from my normal. So I feel like my artist dates lately have been about like stepping into things that feel uncomfortable. And so I did a thing. Actually, this is like, if any of my friends are watching, they'll be like, what? Because I haven't even told most of my friends. So I got a tattoo.
What? You go, girl.
Yeah. So I probably, I don't know, 30 years ago, I had some lumps on my back in 2 places, and a surgeon took them out. He wasn't very adept at the whole plastic part, and so it was like brutal. It looked like a big spider in 2 spots on my back, and like literally it was like this big. So like one up on my shoulder and one kind of middle of my back. And so for years, like first people would stop me. Oh my goodness, do you know you have a big bump on your back? And I'm like, yes, I know, thank you. So then I thought, okay, they're going to be gone, and then people are going to stop asking. Well, they didn't, because now it was like, oh my goodness, there's something on your back. Yes, it's called a scar. Thank you very much. And so ever since then, I've had this thought of I should get a tattoo to cover up the scar. But it felt so permanent and I didn't know what I wanted. And so over the last while, I've been just like processing what are the things that are really meaningful to me. And so I love turtles. Turtles are really, I have turtle necklaces. When we did a cruise once, and we were like on the Mexican Riviera, and I walked out to the balcony and I looked down and there was a turtle swimming right beside the boat. Like I was like, oh my goodness, is that a turtle? And zoomed in and got this fantastic picture. So like there's something really special about turtles. And some of the turtles that I have are gifts that my partner has given me. So I was like, I think, and Hawaii is like my happy place. So I decided to get 2 Hawaiian turtles and then some water in between. But I also really love hearts in nature. And so I showed the tattoo artist like my collection of heart rocks. And so she actually incorporated some little hearts in the water flow. So the funny thing is, I don't think I envisioned it being quite as big as it is. And so we were like, I mean, it was like a full day. I was there at 9:00 and I didn't leave until close to 4. Partway, we were like in the afternoon and she says, wait, did you say this is your first tattoo? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, you're like a rock. You're just sitting there. And I was like, isn't that what you're supposed to do? Right? Like you're not supposed to move. So, and so I guess some of the other tattoo artists had overheard. And at the end of the day, they're like, can we see? And I was like, yeah, of course. And one of them was like, okay, did I hear correctly? Like, this is your first tattoo? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, that is a badass first tattoo. And I'm like, I'm badass. I'm a badass creative. So yeah, that's my artist date.
Yes. I love that. Oh my gosh, that's so great. I love it. Wow. And that is a badass. I got a little tattoo, maybe this, when I was in college. I was screaming Stormy Weather, the song. Like it was so painful. Song. It was so awful. I was just like, no, what? Like that's how I got through. It was terrible. I love the result. It was so painful. And I was like, oh my gosh. So when I'm like hearing what you like the detail and then like in my mind, I was like thinking like, oh wow, that's a lot. Like, yes, you are badass. Like yes.
I don't know if it'll let me show it on the screen. I'll see if I can, because if I can, I'll show you guys a picture.
Yes, I was going to ask you to do it.
Yes, that would be nice.
I
Okay,
think there's
let's.
a separate screen.
There is, but it's on my phone. So let's see if I can.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it's really hard to see. Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
working. Ah, yeah, if I knew how to, I'm on my computer, so yeah, I don't know how to share it to my computer. That's too techie for me at this moment. So
Yeah.
I'll text it to you guys later. If any, maybe I'll post it on my Substack.
Yeah.
I'll say I did a thing.
You should.
Yes.
You should.
That's what you need to do. That's what you need to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Margaret,
it.
have you had a chance for an artist date, Margaret?
No,
Okay.
I am the artist. Okay. So that's where I sit right now. Okay. So because I told you I'm really burned out. So I'm trying to
Yeah.
figure out some new things that I can come up with. And just looking at this book, it's inspiring me. Okay. And to be able to even get closer with my spirituality, because I am not religious, but totally spiritual, because a lot of things that I've been going through is only because of my faith and spirituality that I'm still here. So how can I take that and put it into everything that I'm doing to elevate not just myself, but the people that I serve? Okay. So this book is really, really talking to me about all the tools we can incorporate to increase our creativity. It increases our productivity, and it increase our ability to communicate with the world. Okay, through our work. It's about communication, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I, hear you say like I'm feeling really burnt out, and I think that that can happen sometimes. Like there's so much pressure and so much that is on us, and so much. And lately I've been thinking too. Like sometimes we get burnt out not because they're bad things, even like it could be really good things, but there's just too many of them, and it's like, okay, wait, I've got to figure out what that balance is. And so I'm curious, like I love that you're finding the book really inspiring. And there's the part of me that goes, how are you taking care of yourself? How are you creating space rather than just expecting more productivity? Because I think our best productivity comes out of spaciousness rather than pressure, right? So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but.
Well, for me personally, it's like when I left one hamster wheel and came to another one because of these expectations. Maybe the expectations is me. It's not that any of you guys are asking me for anything. It's just this need inside that I have to keep doing more and more and more. Okay, I took a break. And the numbers really didn't change much, but I'm feeling better, and I think that's more important. We put more emphasis of putting out rather than to take a break and give ourselves some grace and say, let me take a moment, a time out to give myself what I need. Okay, because if we can't pour from an empty cup.
No.
Okay. So we deserve to take a break when we need to. So we have content. Why not repurpose it and give yourself the break you need? So when you come back to yourself like 90%. Nothing's 100%, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah. So give yourself permission to take a break.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I think for me, I love the invitation, the assignment really is the assignment of the Artist Way has been helping me to take a break, because I think I mentioned the last time that I realized that I spend a lot of time with myself. I do have time with myself, and I enjoy myself. I'm a deeply rooted introvert. But I realized when I took my first artist date, oh, the type of time I'm spending with myself is different. And
Mhm.
so I like my time that I was spending with myself, was errands, really.
Oh, yeah.
Going from here to here, or shifting from
Yeah.
this thing to this thing, or this hat to that hat. Because my days are, like everyone's, it's full and busy and producing, right? So, or giving something. But the artist dates are these delicious, luxurious, indulgent spaces that's just for me. And it has been, I think, even more powerful or more impactful than the morning pages, for me, which is really good. And I was like, I'm going to plan really good time for myself. And I think that rest it's allowed me to rest differently. Like, rest isn't just when I go to sleep, or rest isn't when I'm like sitting on a couch and I can have a moment of being still. There's a different type of rest that I experience with nurturing me. That's so
Yes.
replenishing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so refreshing.
Yeah. I love that. That resonates for me as well, because I find like during COVID, my counseling practice really picked up because COVID was just hard for everybody. And then of course everything shut down, so you couldn't go anywhere, and we canceled all our travel plans. And it was like a year, and I hadn't taken a break from work because there was really no point, because you couldn't do anything. And I remember recognizing, oh, wow, I was taking breaks before to like give myself space from work. And so I've gone back to like every 2 to 3 months, even if it's a weekend off or maybe a week. And I don't have to necessarily go somewhere, but maybe I do. And I think for a long time, those moments were really about, like what you said, like, oh gosh, I'm just going to, rest. Whereas I find they've become more intentional times for me through this process. And I'm really excited because I'm actually not being a slave driver to myself this summer. There have been a number of clients that have said, hey, can I take the summer off? But I'd really like to have a spot in September. And usually that would be like, oh my goodness, I need some new clients. I need to fill all my slots. And I'm like, sure. Sounds good. Block that one off. Block that one off. And then I actually thought, you know what? Like, people take holidays in the summer. Why don't I? And not because we're going somewhere as a family and I need that time for my family, but just because I want some time. So I've actually booked 1 week at the end of July and 1 week at the very beginning of September that I have no plans to go anywhere. I'm just taking the time off. And for one of the weeks, I'm taking 2 nights away, just, in Vancouver, which is like 45 minutes away. But I've been finding, like, when I take this space and I take time away, I can really, like, for about 1 or 2 days, I am just inspired to write and to do creative things and to have interesting conversations with people. And then on the third day, I need to just go do something, whether it's go for a hike, go for a bike ride, something really, really active. And then when I come back, I'm like totally inspired to go again. But it's feeling like a really different energy. It's not like this energy of survival. It actually feels like energy of just living fully. And it's so, I don't know, engaging, fantastic, really. And so I feel like working my way through the book has started kind of putting some of those pieces into play in a more intentional way. That there were like hints of them already, but it's like pulling them in and figuring out how to really use them to inspire the creativity and to feel like I'm thriving,
Yeah.
Because you
Absolutely.
are.
Yeah. Feels like it. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that when you are intentional, you are able to make better decisions.
Yeah.
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 100%.
No doubt. Yes.
Yeah. And I think we need things to disrupt. I have this thing that I've been saying. I got it from, if the aha moment came, and from the Artist Way.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to notice. It's on do something that makes you feel insecure. It's a little side quote on page 81. Break a habit. Do something that makes you feel insecure.
Yeah.
And to me, that really spoke to me because I don't like feeling insecure at all.
Exactly.
I am a bit of a control person, and I like to feel like, at least, because I don't really, but that feel like that I have things in control and figuring things out. And I also, even for the things that aren't working in my life, right, my bad habits, I'm comfortable with them, right? I have a sense of control even of those things, embarrassingly so. But I got this image in my mind when I read this quote of still water. And I was like, what I want, I always, like I want to be next to a bubbling brook, a bubbling happy brook that's moving and that's lively. And so the still water image that I have is not that bubbling happy brook. And so I'm like, if there's an area in my life where the water is still, I have the agency where I can pick up a rock. A rock is always on the shore. I can pick up a rock and I can throw it into the water. I can move a boulder and change the flow. Like I can disrupt that stagnant water that represents like that constant habits that aren't leading me to that place. And that rock is like, when you pick up this rock, this is something that doesn't feel comfortable. You're going to feel insecure, but you can do it. And I think that time, by ourselves, with ourselves, tending to ourselves, helps us to not just see these things, because we have a lot of awareness, but sometimes we just don't have presence with ourselves to really do something about it, and I think that that's like one of the greatest gifts. Is like, you need to tend to yourself, Chantel. You need to pay attention. You need to listen. And you can take disruptive actions, to your life. And it doesn't have to be, I think, like this book, this practice is showing me, oh, I was waiting for big disruptive things. Like to be able to, like, eat, pray, love, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, have these big disruptive moments. And so for me, it was like, I don't have maybe the finances for that. I don't have the time. I can't take off my life for that. But this practice, which is so simplistic and accessible, like the tenets of it, the morning pages and the artist dates are super disruptive, and so we don't have to have these big, giant, almost Hollywood type things in order for real disruption to be able to take place. Not that I'm against the Hollywood disruption type things, because I'm not. But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be just that.
Well, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, when you were talking about taking these trips, a lot of times if we change our environment, it can change our mood. It can change the trajectory of our lives sometimes. Okay. And so we need to be mindful of that, because for me, at this space and time, I would love to live by the water. I think I would be much more peaceful, much more in harmony with nature. And so this is something that I'm manifesting. Okay.
Well, and
Go ahead.
And I think, I think too, like I love the touching on changing your space, because like I'm with you, Margaret. I would love to live like with an ocean view or a beautiful, like top of the mountain, beautiful view of the valley. That's not my reality right now, but I can still get myself out of my space and go out. And that was one of the things during COVID that was actually a blessing for us, was we figured out how many gorgeous parks there are in the area. And it was like, we live walking distance from these parks and we didn't know they existed. And so sometimes just allowing yourself permission to go somewhere different and just go see what's down this street. You never know what you might find, right? And so I think I wrote down a bunch of quotes too and they weren't all her quotes. Sometimes it was the quotes she had written from other people. So she had one on page 112, Leo Tolstoy. True life is lived when tiny changes occur. And I have found that to be so true in my life, that the biggest changes long term don't actually start as big disruptive things. They start as little tiny things. And so I love that you pointed that out as well, Chantel. Like it does. Yes, big disruptive things can sometimes shake things up, sometimes in a good way, sometimes not in a good way. But often if we want things to change, it doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be completely changing everything. It can just be one little thing. So, if anyone's like thinking, oh, I want to do this, but this feels like I can't do all of this. It doesn't have to look the same way it does for us. It just has to be something that gives you one little step in the direction.
Question: are you planning on having another iteration of this artist way after this one is completed?
I don't know. We hadn't talked about that.
We talked about that. I think we're just still like in the journey.
Yeah.
But I talked about that. I think that I was thinking about what is it that I'm going to keep. I received so much encouragement from people in our Substack community that have gone through it, and they've told me like so encouraging, like, yes, do it, and words. But most of them that reached out and shared aspects of their journey also shared how their practices that they have just kept. And so I'm trying to look at this not as something that starts and stops, right, at the end of the 12 weeks, but really to say, I have 12 weeks to kind of experience different practices, and then to say, what practices do I need to maintain in my life? And so, I think maybe, and one of them is community, right? One of them is being able to talk about this stuff with it. That's a practice. That's what we're doing. And just like morning pages. So I can definitely see an after, if that makes sense, a continuation, of it, because for me, the community and the connection, the accountability, the goodwill towards one another for all the different things that we're pursuing, is part of a practice that I know that I need.
Me too.
Well, and I find as I'm going through it, like things are changing for me. I'm bringing things in that I didn't have before, and they don't feel like things that I'm going to get rid of. I have two friends. We've known each other since our kids were very wee, and we get together, every couple of months to catch up. And so we caught up last night, and one of them she's an artist. Like, she is so creative. She's always doing something. She's like super inspiring. And so she had a little chat with me yesterday that really has got me thinking a lot, because she's like, she's been saying, you need to do some writing, but you need to like put stuff in a book. And she's like, and if you're going to do this, you can't just, do it once a week when you have a little bit of time. She's like, I need you to be intentional about it. She says, you need to put aside time every day to do this. And so, my first thought is, I don't have time every day to do this. But then I've been thinking about it ever since, and thinking, why not? Why do I not have time every day? If I really do want to put some of this stuff down on paper, why am I not creating space for it? And so that is kind of, over the next little while, that is where I think I'm going to be focusing, is how do I create space, even if, and I had the thought last night, again, around this flexibility piece, like, even if it's only half an hour a night, and maybe some nights I'll want to do a bit more. But if every night, because she's like, there's something about the flow. If you're doing it every day, she says that the artist flow is different. And that's exactly the pages, right? Is about having that flow. You're doing them every-ish day. And it is about keeping the creative channels open, I guess, in a sense. And so I find, as we're going through this process, I'm changing things and finding ways of creating more space for the creativity. And so, I think there will be things that we take with us, regardless of whether we continue doing this in kind of a formal process or not. And maybe I'll just put a little plug in here for everybody who's joining us. The three of us have been talking about arranging a Zoom call where any of you who would like to join could join, and it would be a chance for us to kind of have a larger group discussion around creativity. If any of you are doing the Artist's Way, around the Artist Way. So we're trying to nail down a date. We've got some maybes, maybe Friday, July 10th, maybe Friday, July 17th. Once the three of us nail it down to a date and a time, we will post it on all our Substacks. So just keep an eye open for that. But we would love to have you join us. And we can have as many of us as want to be there. And depending on how many people show up, I mean, we can do some breakout rooms to have smaller group discussions as well, which I think would be really cool. So I'm excited about that possibility, and I hope people are too. So
that'll be great.
It will be fun.
Great.
Yes.
Any time goes so quickly, you guys. Like, I'm looking at it, it's like 4:56 my time. So it's like, oh, okay. I feel like we could just keep going, but I also know that an hour is usually kind of a good time to wind it down. So I'm wondering, do you have any thoughts that you had hoped to share that you haven't had a chance to? And if not, do you have any, like, I want to leave people with this thought, kind of thoughts to finish up our time?
I just encourage everybody to keep learning and growing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
That's right. I think a thought that I have that I'm sitting with as I move into the next week. So I recently repaid attention to my Enneagram, which is a personality test. And I'm an Enneagram 7, so I'm an enthusiastic visionary, which makes sense to me. And that I'm going to be sitting with that and reading, all kinds of things in relationship to that question about childhood and reconnect, because my answer is, Heidi, I haven't been able to answer that question. And that's my answer. That's my honest answer. I don't have an answer for it, but I want to pursue like the why behind that, like to get, to really kind of get an answer, for it. I think I have some possibilities, but I definitely know I need to like go deeper and to have more courage, I think is what's under that. So that's what I'm going to be kind of moving into next week. And I'm so excited and happy and thankful for everyone who joined. And I'm looking forward to like the Zoom experience. I think that will be really neat. We can figure out that part. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh,
well,
and 7 as well. Sorry, I met another 7.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I feel like the last while I've been reconnecting with, like I said, my younger self. And one of I had this memory the other day of like building a Barbie camper for myself because we couldn't afford to buy one. And so like I made it out of boxes and I like made all the little furniture and the patio furniture and the deck and the ladder. And like, I just, as a child, like remember being so creative. And so just feeling like, okay, I feel like I'm getting back in touch with like even just remembering some of these things that, they kind of get shuffled off in the memories of the past. And then, around the courage. So the tattoo was the recent courageous thing, but I just last night published my 3 Things Fear Taught Me piece. And I talked about 3 different experiences that I've had over the last year where I did exactly what you were talking about, Chantel, and I stepped into something that was very, very uncomfortable for me. And I discovered I have a lot more fears than I realized. So in each one of the situations, I actually confronted one of my fears head on. Yeah, I learned a little bit about what courage means, and it doesn't always mean pushing through. Little spoiler, but it's allowed me to be playful. And so, like when we were gone 2 weeks ago with my family and we did some hiking, there was a natural rock slide, and I went down it a couple of times. Like I climbed back up and I slid down the rock, and then I climbed back up and I said, "Hey, can you film me? I'm going to slide down now." And had my friend film me, and it was just really fun and fun to be playful, you know? And so I think I want to keep doing more of that. And I had written down a couple of quotes, and I'm going to read them to end because they feel like they're kind of relevant. So they're all out of The Artist Way. So the first one is page 96, if anyone's following along. She quotes Margaret Young, and she said, "You must first be who you really are, then do what you need to do in order to have what you want." And I thought, yeah, I love that. Like, start with knowing yourself. And I know someone in the chat had talked about, like, I was 43 and I didn't know myself, and I do now. But yeah, just that, connect with who you really are, then do what you need to do, and you'll get there. The second one is kind of similar. Paul Hawken, she quotes him on page 107, and he says, "Always leave enough time in your life to do something that makes you happy, satisfied, even joyous. That has more of an effect on economic well-being than any other single factor." And so,
I love it.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who said that one, Heidi? Can you say the name again?
Yeah, Paul Hawken. So Hawken on page 107.
Okay.
Yeah.
Paul Hawkins. I love that. Yeah.
Oh, there's such a good question. You guys, I think we might have to answer that before we go. Yeah. Did you see that? Yeah. Savio says, "What lights each of you up, and how are you cultivating that?" I think that's a great question. Let's answer that. And then, yeah. Who wants to go first?
I can go first. So I would say what's lighting me up right now is I am reconnecting to a play that I wrote 20 years ago. And I have been sitting with this play and engaging it and facing my fears. Even saying that I'm doing it is like a big thing. And I found a development. It's kind of like a competition that I'm going to submit it to in the fall. And I've just been having, guys, so much fun thinking about the characters, playing around with it without any pressure. It's just for that, kind of like the dollhouse, just for my enjoyment of it, and for also the challenge of it. You know what I'm saying? Like just that creative challenge of it. So that's been a real joy spot for me. Thanks, Savia, for the question.
Yeah.
Well, what lights me up is
I'm sharing your article. I'm sharing your post.
Oh, thanks, Chantel.
Yeah, Heidi, that you talked about in the chat. Yeah.
What lights me up is an opportunity to reconnect with my musicality, okay, and see how far I can go with that, okay. And so because with that, because I've been practicing anyway, that way I can continue to help others to elevate and motivate others as well, and say, hey, what is your gift? What is your skill? Let's see what we can do with that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you, when it comes to musicality, is there, like, do you use your voice? Do you use your body? Do you use instruments? Is it all of the above?
Basically, you know, my voice, but there's no reason why we can't use it in any other capacity. You know,
Yeah.
we have other
Mhm.
dancing and
Yeah.
a lot of other things, film,
Yeah.
you know,
Yes.
producing. Why should we limit ourselves?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I
Right.
love it. Well, when I thought about like what's lighting me up right now, the word that comes to mind is story. I had written about my dad on Father's Day, and just kind of like this. Oh, I think in a lot of ways I connect to memories of my dad, and he was a storyteller. And I do not consider myself to be as great a storyteller as he was. Like, he was just amazing that way. But I think what I gained from him was just this incredible love of story. And whether it's telling my own story or hearing other people's story, I just always find, like, through story, things feel so relevant. I'm not great at remembering facts, but if somebody tells me a story and I've got something to hang the facts on, I'm going to remember them. And so I am finding that as I'm writing, first of all, like I said, it is actually therapeutic for me just to be writing parts of my story. But I also find that it continues to grow the ideas. And so when I start talking to people about things that I'm writing about, I get super excited. And everyone's like, "You just come alive when you talk about your writing." And not just the writing, but I love doing Substack lives. Like, I am loving these. And anytime someone's like, "Do you want to do it?" Yes, I'm in.
Yeah.
And so I think how I'm cultivating it is just to continue to create space in my schedule, and also create space in my physical world. So I'm actually, I have to move offices and bring some of my office furniture home, and we really don't need more furniture in our house. But one of the pieces I'm bringing back is this really beautiful, like, burgundy red wooden desk. That's just like, it just is a really beautiful piece of furniture. And I'm like, I don't want to get rid of it, but I don't have anywhere to put it. And then I thought, I do have a place to put it, because we have a little screened in porch just out of our, yeah. And I went and I measured it, and there's this one little corner that has a dead plant in it. And it's the perfect size for my desk. And so I am bringing that desk home. It's coming into my little 3-season room. And I am totally excited, because that desk is only going to be for my writing. And it feels so luxurious, even though there's literally no money being spent on it. It's all stuff that I already have, but it's just, again, finding a way to create that space for it. So yeah.
That's so great. That's
Awesome.
so great.
Yeah.
What a great question. Thank you.
Yeah.
You got to come back next time and ask us another great question at the end.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. This was so great. And as always, we will figure out when our next one is, and we'll check in with you all then. But we do plan to have our Zoom call prior to our next one. So make sure that you're checking out our Substacks for when we release that information. I always try to get it out as quickly as possible. So as soon as we got it, we'll let you know. So yeah. Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so
guys.
much.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.